Attention passionate Cleveland, BROWNS. Latest news, something big is happening in the AFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Cleveland Browns' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Cleveland Browns fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Cleveland, BROWNS. Let's get to the news as we gear up for the 2025 NFL season. There's been a lot of buzz surrounding the Cleveland Browns, a team with a storied history and high expectations. Fans are eager to see if this team can finally take that next step and make a real push toward another Super Bowl appearance. But as always in the NFL, it's not just about talent on the field. Off-the-field issues, player behavior, and team discipline can play crucial roles in shaping a team's destiny, especially during the offseason. And right now, the Browns have found themselves in the spotlight for reasons that could, quite frankly, be more about discipline and maturity than about talent or strategy. Recently, the NFL world was stunned by the story involving Shedeur Sanders, a young quarterback with a lot of hype around him, especially coming into the draft process. Shedeur, the son of NFL legend Deion Sanders, was considered a top prospect, a potential first-round pick who could be a franchise quarterback for years to come. Many analysts and fans alike believed he had the talent to be a game-changer, a player capable of leading an offense with his arm talent and football IQ. But as we all saw, the 2025 NFL Draft didn't quite turn out that way for Sanders. Instead of being selected early, he slid all the way into the 5th round, picked by none other than the Cleveland Browns with the 144th overall pick. And that slide wasn't just about talent, it was about concerns over his maturity and decision-making, issues that the Browns, like many other teams, carefully considered before bringing him into the fold. Now, it's important to understand the context here. The offseason for Sanders has been anything but smooth. Not only was his draft stock affected by perceptions of immaturity, but he also made headlines for some off-the-field behavior that raised eyebrows. Just last month, Shedeur was ticketed twice for speeding, once driving at 91 miles per hour in a 65 mph zone, and another time reaching 101 mph in a 60 mph zone. Those are serious violations, especially for a young athlete trying to establish himself in the league. And the fact that he missed a court appearance after the second ticket only added to the concerns about his judgment and discipline. So, it's no surprise that Browns general manager Andrew Berry had to address this situation publicly. During the early days of training camp, Berry didn't sugarcoat the issue. In fact, he was quite straightforward, emphasizing that Shedeur's behavior was not smart. He clearly wanted to send a message that discipline and maturity are non-negotiable for someone trying to succeed at this level, especially for a team that's been striving for consistency and professionalism. Berry explained that they've spoken with Sanders about the importance of understanding the implications of his actions, not just for himself, but for the team and others around him. He pointed out how dangerous speeding can be, especially when reaction times are compromised. The risk of accidents involving animals like deer or sudden obstacles on the road is real, and that kind of recklessness can have serious consequences. This kind of statement from the Browns' GM underscores the challenge they face with a young quarterback who has so much raw talent, but needs to develop better judgment and decision-making skills. It also reflects the wider NFL culture, where teams are increasingly emphasizing accountability and maturity alongside athletic ability. For Sanders, the road to becoming a starting quarterback isn't just about throwing passes or reading defenses. It's about demonstrating leadership, discipline, and responsibility, qualities that can't be learned overnight. Looking at his early days in Cleveland, Sanders has been somewhat of a peripheral figure during training camp. With Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett mostly splitting first-team reps and Dylan Gabriel, a third-round draft pick, also getting his chances, Sanders finds himself at the bottom of the depth chart for now. That can be tough for a player who was once viewed as a potential franchise guy, but he's taking it in stride. In interviews, Sanders has shown maturity beyond his years, saying things like, "I know who I am as a person," and emphasizing that he's focused on improving and contributing whenever his opportunity comes. It's worth noting that, despite the early struggles, Sanders remains confident in his abilities. He's been working hard, trying to learn from the veterans around him, and staying committed to his development. But he also recognizes that he needs to earn his place on the field, especially with the competition stiffening. Joe Flacco, with his veteran leadership, and Kenny Pickett, with his NFL experience, are the favorites to start the season, but Sanders isn't giving up. He's aware that if he wants to be the guy, he has to maximize every rep, every practice, and every moment he gets on the field. That's the mindset of a true professional, even if the circumstances are less than ideal right now. And let's not forget, the Browns are a team that's been knocking on the door of real success. With a strong roster, a solid coaching staff led by Kevin Stefanski, and a defense that's still among the best in the league, the key question remains: can the offense take that next step? And more specifically, can a young quarterback like Sanders develop the maturity and decision-making needed to lead an effective, consistent attack? That's what everyone is watching, and the offseason incidents have added an extra layer of scrutiny. But the Browns organization isn't just about talent. They're about building a team with character, discipline, and resilience. Historically, the Browns have always been a team that's had high moments and equally tough setbacks. From the heartbreak of missing out on playoff runs to the joy of historic victories, the team has a passionate fan base that's endured a lot but always believes in the potential of their squad. This year, there's a renewed sense of hope, especially with the offensive weapons and the defensive strength that the Browns bring to the table. But at the same time, fans are aware that discipline and maturity are just as crucial as talent. The NFL is unforgiving, and one mistake off the field can sometimes overshadow what's happening on it. Looking ahead, Cleveland's coaching staff and front office will be closely monitoring Sanders' progress. They're aware of his potential, but they also know that for him to truly become a leader, he needs to demonstrate growth in every aspect, on and off the field. The competition in camp is fierce, with veterans like Flacco and Pickett leading the charge, but Sanders' mindset remains optimistic. He's spoken about focusing on what he can control, improving his game, and being ready when the moment arrives. That's the mindset of someone who's determined to turn the page and prove that he belongs at the NFL level, regardless of setbacks. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture. This situation with Sanders isn't isolated. It reflects a broader NFL trend where teams are investing heavily in not just athletic ability, but also in the mental and emotional maturity of their players. The Browns, in particular, have made a conscious effort to build a team culture that emphasizes responsibility, accountability, and leadership. They've seen what happens when young players lose focus or make reckless decisions. That's why Barry's comments about Sanders' behavior aren't just about a speeding ticket. They're about setting standards and ensuring that players understand the gravity of representing a professional organization. For Browns fans, the story of Sanders is a reminder that success in the NFL isn't just about the talent you bring, but also about how you handle yourself in the high-pressure environment of professional football. It's about growth, resilience, and the willingness to learn from mistakes. And with the season approaching, all eyes are on him to see if he can rise above the off-field issues and turn potential into production. As we get closer to the regular season opener against the Cincinnati Bengals on September 7, the question remains: who will be the starting quarterback? While Sanders is working hard and staying positive, it's unlikely he'll be the Week 1 starter. But that doesn't mean he can't eventually earn his spot. Every day in practice, every rep, every decision counts. The Browns are counting on their young quarterback to grow, mature, and eventually become the leader they envision. In the end, it's a story of second chances, of growth, and of a team that's trying to build a championship culture. The Browns have all the pieces on paper to succeed, but the real test will come in how they handle adversity and how their young players develop discipline and maturity. For Sanders, the road ahead is still long, but if he can learn from his mistakes and stay focused, he might just turn this challenging offseason into a stepping stone for greatness. And now, Cleveland Browns fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this situation with Shedeur Sanders? Do you believe he has what it takes to prove his critics wrong and become a key figure for the Browns? Or do you think these off-field issues could hinder his development long-term? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Cleveland Browns. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Cleveland Browns news.